Hey everybody, you might be wondering why and how I'm starting a flower and garden video at the Magic Kingdom. Well, come with me and I'll show you why. I got you. Let's go do this. Alright, so now I am in the right spot for the flower and garden video, and if you're wondering why I had to start out at the Magic Kingdom, like that's a weird place to start out for a flower and garden video. Well, we did not have reservations for EPCOT today, and this is the first weekend of the Flower and Garden Festival, so it is packed today, and it was booked up, couldn't modify the reservations. But now you can park hop at any time, so we just went in, scanned into the Magic Kingdom, turned right around, came back out, hopped the monorail over, and now we are ready to get started with Chase versus the Flower and Garden Festival. I'm going to bring you some of my favorites. I know that you'll have seen a lot of videos of Flower and Garden by the time this gets out, but you haven't seen it my way. You haven't seen my favorites, the best money that you can spend here. I'm going to show you all of that, so come with me. I got you. Let's go do this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clear one thing up now. What you will not find on Chase versus the Flower and Garden Festival is any impossible foods. If you like impossible meats and things like that and plant-based, that's great. It's just not for me. I try not to eat a ton of things I cannot pronounce. So you know, every now and then you're going to splurge and you're going to eat donuts and things like that that have all these kind of bad ingredients. And not saying, you know, plant-based is bad. I just don't like to eat impossible stuff. I'll go whole days without eating meat for sure sometimes, but the impossible stuff's not for me, so that's not going to be on my list. But if you like it, there are places here that you can get it. The Trowel and Trellis has a lot of impossible stuff. There is a plant-based food scavenger hunt, but again, that's not going to be on Chase versus Festival, Flower and Garden Festival. Almost said Festival of the Arts. Feels like I was just here for that. That's not going to be on my list, but there are going to be some fun things on my list. I will say that there are not a ton of new foods here this year. There's a lot of repeats from last year, and you know, so I'm not gonna, you know, if I had it last year, unless it was just like one of my absolute favorites, I'm probably not going to repeat it. But there are some new drinks and there are a lot of new things to look at, so let's get to it. We are going to start in Mexico because usually the Jardín de Fiestas, the garden party over here, has a lot of good stuff, and this year is no different. Alright, it is time to finally try the food from the festival, or Jardín de Fiestas, which is the garden party, the Mexican pavilion booth. And we are doing both the, I'm probably going to butcher this, but I believe it is the Sopa de Chorrillo, which is, said it wrong, I'm sure. You know how it is. That is pepper braised pork on fried corn shells with black beans, shredded cabbage, crema mexicana, queso fresco, and chives. That's a lot. So we're going to try that first, but we also got the tamale de rojas, which is poblano peppers, corn, and cheese, and masa topped with poblano cream sauce, cream mexicana, pickled carrots, onions, and chives. We got a lot of flavors going on here. Let's start with the sope. I'm sorry to all you native Spanish speakers. I am butchering things. I can't cut this. Please hold for technical difficulties. All right, now let's try it. Big bite, all the flavors. It's really good. You have to like black beans to like it because the black beans are very forward. And then the red sauce that's on there, kind of like a tamale sauce or salsa. It's good. It kind of tastes like a bean burrito, to be honest with you. A bean burrito. Now let's try the tamale. All right, this is going to be a big bite. I love that. But I love poblano, and that flavor is all in there in that tamale. Everything's fresh, bursting with flavors. Got some pickled onion on there. That's a little crunch. I love it. The Mexico Pavilion normally always hits it out of the booth. We're going to try to keep a running total. I believe that's going to be about $17.25, $17.50 between the two. I'll put it up here and let you see it. And then now we're going to move on to what we got from the Citrus Blossom Cafe. Now that we are all done with the Jardín de Fiestas, it is time to check out the Citrus Blossom. They do have one of my returning favorites and a couple of very interesting drinks. Let's go check them out. The first thing I got is a returning favorite from last year, which is the lemon meringue pie. And I love lemon meringue pie. It's one of the few things that break my rule of no fruit with dessert. So I gotta have a bite. Clean fork. Oh, so good. A little sweet, a little tart, fresh lemon flavor bursting in there. The cream, that's a good way to spend like $4.75, I believe is what it is. Now to wash that down, we got a couple of things. This is the key lime slush, key lime wine slush. Now to be fair, I don't normally like key lime. And I don't know that this is the best use of $12 because it is very small, but I'm going to taste it. It's not bad. It's very tart. I actually like that. Really tart. I like it. But it is a very small portion for $12. When you compare that to the next thing that I got for $12, which I've already tasted, this is the Lemon Drop Shandy. So this is a lemon beer, so we're going heavy spring, like fruit, lemon flavor forward. And taste that lemon. There's no sweetness to that. It tastes like a beer that you squeezed a bunch of lemon in. I love it. I think it was $27.50 or $26.50 for my haul. I will put that all up here, and we'll keep a running total for you. But we are off and running on Chase versus the Flower and Garden Festival, doing it my way. We're not going to be stopping at every booth. We're going to hit the highlights, and I'm going to take you with me. But right now, I'm going to eat and drink this, and see you later. All right, so I'm going to try to keep the running total up here. We've hit two of my must-do stops on this year's Flower and Garden, and right now, you can't imagine how crowded this place is, so I'm going to turn it around and let you see. This is when you have to have your best things picked out, because if you try to stop at every booth today, you're going to be waiting a really long time. So when it's crowded on the weekends, that's when you definitely need something like this, where it is the highlights, the things that you must get, and skip the things that you can skip, so that you're not spending all day in line. Check this out. Pretty much every line is 50 deep. This is just the line at the Joy of Tea. Still the line for the Joy of Tea. Still the line for the Joy of Tea. Just now to the back of the line for Joy of Tea, which is way down there. Yeah, that's rough. When the line for Joy of Tea is that long, you know it could be a rough day. It's time to go Lincoln Hawks mode. Put your hat backwards and get ready to get into it and find your favorites. Well, if Germany's rocking, don't come a knocking. I am passing Germany this time because it has pretty much exactly the same thing it had last year. It has the ham and cheese, pretzel bread. It has the strudel. It has the same Bitburger ale. It has basically the same thing. So that's not a must for us this year. And we just spent a lot of time in Germany recently. Make sure you check that out. That was a cool video, very fun. I love this pavilion. But because we did it last year and because it's returning, it is not part of my challenge against this festival here. We're gonna go find even better stuff and a few topiaries along the way. So Snow White topiary. Snow White only has one dwarf with her this year. I think that was Dopey. I'll have to look back at the video and see, but yeah. Only one dwarf this year. Not all 7. I'm pretty sure there were more of them with her last year. But I also hear there's some different and new topiaries this year, so I'm looking forward to that. Oh, our next stop is somewhere we skipped last year. But this year they finally have some stuff worth getting. Finally, the Italy booth has a name that I can pronounce. The Primavera Kitchen. Every year I struggle with every festival pronouncing their booth names. This one I can do. Primavera Kitchen, simple, easy, and they actually have some things worth standing in line for. It's not a knock on Italy, but they are not known to have the best festival booths. But this menu has some things that look pretty interesting. So the Italy booth right here behind me is way more popular this year than I've seen it because it has a great selection of stuff this year that you actually really want to spend some time eating. We got a couple of those. One is I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but the arrabbiata, which is a spicy tomato sauce shrimp over penne pasta. And then the quattro formaggi, which is a 4-cheese penne pasta. They also have a good looking chocolate cannoli over there with a peanut butter ricotta filling. Sounds good. They have some good options this year, which is a little bit different for the Italy booth. Let's start with the shrimp and spicy pasta, if I can, and it is hot, like temperature hot. It's good. You get about 5 or 6 little shrimp. I like a good spicy red sauce. The shrimp are fresh. They're not chewy. They're done well. They're flavorful. It is a good selection, and I think the 4-cheese penne pasta is going to be next level. And it is a lot of cheese, a lot. It's really good. They also have a very cute presentation, like fresh mozzarella and tomato and basil and like a balsamic, and it's like in a little like planter looking dish. So a cool presentation on that, but it's a very simple dish. They have some good things this year. The 4-cheese penne pasta, it's just a good solid pasta. I actually like the shrimp and spicy red sauce pasta better, but these are both good, better selections than they've had here for a while. And fortunately for me, it coincides with a name of the booth that I can pronounce here in Italy, the Primavera Kitchen. I am enjoying it. I'm gonna have a little bit more pasta, not too much, but if you're looking for somewhere to get full and not have to make as many stops, that's another reason to put this on your list, and another reason it's on mine. Pasta's very filling, it goes a long way. We'll update the running count of the total here, but you could get a couple of these and share them and be on your way to being full for lunch. I'm gonna see if that works right now. Okay, so I thought I would stop by the American Pavilion at the Magnolia Terrace and have a little talk with you. They have something over here that I consider a must get, but it is something else that is returning this year. This booth also doesn't have a lot of new stuff. They have the same Bayou Punch, they have the same Muffalata Panini, and they have the exact same Bananas Foster brownie. Now the Bananas Foster is what you should stop here and get for sure. But it's kind of a downer to have so many things that are the same. Even some of the beers are the same. So the only thing you're going to get different here this year is they have a shrimp gumbo and andouille sausage dish, and they have like one new beer, and that's it. Everything else is returning. They have the same topiary over here. It's Tiana, it's beautiful, but everything is pretty much the same. That being said, the Bananas Foster is worth your time, especially if you haven't had it before. And even if you have, like me, you've had it several times. If I wasn't getting so full and needed to save space for new stuff, I'd be getting it right now. But I just thought I would give you a little look at this year's Magnolia Terrace Pavilion over here in America. It is still worth the stop by. Get you some Bananas Foster. So the Fleur de Lis Cafe, our booth here in France, is another one that has something that is worth you checking out. And to me, that is the cream-filled beignet with sort of a creme brulee, like glazed topping on it. That is another returning thing this year, but it is very, very good. However, almost everything else on that menu is returning. You have the cheese croissant. You even have the same Kronenberg beer. It's a lot of the same things returning. So I'm going to pass over it, but I will say that the cream-filled beignet that's almost like a creme brulee topping, that is worth the stop. If you're out for something in France, that is the one that I recommend. Okay, y'all, as much as I love Tinkerbell, I don't see Pan and Hook yet, and that will not be okay with me because I love Captain Hook. He is one of my favorite villains, him and Gaston. I'm still on a mission to get Gaston a topiary here. I think it's unfair that he does not have one, and he needs one. So we better not be getting rid of Hook because, as you know, as I've said to you before, it's the hook that brings you back. Okay, update. After we stopped and took a look at the cool Eeyore and Tigger topiaries, I have found the man himself, Captain Hook. He is here, alive and well. Let's have a look at the hook. Because the hook brings you back. On that you can rely. That constant ticking of the tick-tock clock. Because the hook brings you back. He brings me back anyway. It would not be a festival without some festival-specific merchandise, and I think you know how I feel about that. I think I've made it pretty clear. Makes me think of Tim Allen, the robot Santa Claus in Santa Claus 2. I think I made that pretty clear. I love resort-specific merchandise. I love park-specific merchandise. I love festival-specific merchandise, specific foods, all that stuff. So we are going to get some stuff to take home. I've got a present for my mama, and I'm going to take it to her because she loves flower and garden, and she loves butterflies. She's going to love this. All right, so we stopped by over at the Canada Pavilion at their booth, the Northern Bloom, because on Chase versus the Flower and Garden Fest, I keep wanting to say Festival of the Arts, I could not pass up the maple whiskey chocolate cake. So we're definitely going to try that. We're also going to try a couple of drinks they have. They have a blackberry sparkling wine that I'm not too sure about, but it's new, so we're going to try it. Nope. It's somehow too sweet and too tart at the same time. I mean, if you like blackberries and wine and champagne, sparkling wine, you'll like it. Just not for me. Here is the, this is the grapefruit lime sour beer. Here we go. That's like taking a drink of the most sour, melted Sour Patch Kids that you've ever had, but in a beer. Once you get past that initial like sour, it's kind of interesting. Like I would take another, even though it hit me so hard, I'd take another drink of it. But those are interesting new drinks. I have got to try this cakes. Now, in full disclosure, I can't remember if they had the cake last year. I didn't have the cake, so I'm gonna try it this time. It looks really good. It is really good. I don't get a ton of the whiskey flavor or the maple, to be honest, with that first bite. Let me try again. Okay. If you've ever had a maple whiskey shot, like a breakfast shot, you know that sweet maple caramel flavor of that whiskey? That's in there a little bit. It's got some good dark chocolate flavoring, and there's a little cream in the middle. It is super moist, really, really good. Some interesting choices over here at Canada. They also have scallops and steak. Wasn't in the mood for those. Those are also returning, I believe. So, trying some new things this year. And I think that's what's worth getting you out to the park for, is to try some new things. Of course, we're all going to have our favorites that you want to get, but you definitely want to have some new things each year to keep pulling you out here and make it more interesting. So there's a lot of returning stuff so far. If that's the one kind of down thing that I have, is how much of the stuff is the exact same as it was last year. I want to I want to keep my favorites, like maybe keep one thing per booth or something, one food and one drink per booth that's really good, that was a big hit, and then bring in some new things. But we're trying new things with this challenge of me taking on the festival this year. So I'm going to eat this cake, and I'll see you later. So we just left Canada, and we're passing the Honey Bee, which is over where Pop Eats is during that festival, and the Pineapple Promenade. I'm passing those because they pretty much are in the same boat. They have the exact same things for the most part that they had last year. You can get your spiked Dole Whip here at the Pineapple Promenade. They have a hot dog here, same as last year. The Honey Bee is going to have your honey chicken and waffles, things like that, same as they had last year. So those are not on my list this year for conquering this festival, but we do have a couple of little things left, so we are not done yet. I have one more bonus stop to make before our actual real final stop on the Chase vs. Festival of the Arts, and my bonus stop is Brunch Cot. Now, Brunch Cot was one of my favorites last year, and again, they have a lot of returning things, and among those that are really, really worth your time to stop and get are two returners. The cinnamon bites with the candied bacon, those are delicious, and the avocado toast. The avocado toast is a huge, like extremely generous portion of avocado toast. I had it last year. If I can find it, I'll stick it in here. If not, take my word for it, it is definitely shareable. It is a lot of avocado. It is a huge piece of avocado toast. I can see why they brought those two items back. They were a huge hit. They are very tasty. So Brunch Cot is one, especially if you haven't been there, or if avocado toast or the cinnamon bites, if those are your favorites, you got to hit Brunch Cot. It is over right there underneath Test Track, so it's always going to be loud when you hit Brunch Cot, but it can definitely worth a stop when you're doing the Flower and Garden Festival, because hey, who doesn't love good avocado toast? Go check it out. Now, you remember how I said one of the big knocks this year that I have so far on the festival is how many things are just repeats, returning items at each booth. Well, one booth that breaks with that is the Florida Fresh booth, and as you can see, trying new stuff is a big hit. People love to have a couple of returning favorites, but they also are excited about new foods. So foods are not in the class with rides. People love the classic rides, but they want some different foods to try. And the Florida Fresh booth has a grilled lobster tail and it has the Cuban, or at least their take on the Cuban sandwich. And check out this line. So it starts over here, wraps around, back and forth, and then all the way down here, the line is still going, still going, still going, still going, and goes on all the way back there. So I would say that having new things to try is a big hit. Of course, you have a Cuban sandwich here, and you have a grilled lobster tail, so that's going to pull a lot of attention. And right now it's starting to rain, so it's about to be Chase versus Festival, Flower and Garden Festival, and Chase versus the weather. We'll see if we can get to this Florida Fresh booth before it's over with. We've got my Cuban sandwich, and it's time to go give it a try. Of course, the lobster is a big hit. They do have one returning favorite here, and that's the strawberry shortcake, and that's kind of what I mean. It's like you had big hits there at the Florida Fresh booth last year, but they only brought one of them back, and I think that's more of the way to do it because you're getting such a big draw off all the new items. All right, let's take a look at this Cuban. I wish we had smell-o-vision, because between the smell of the Cuban and the fragrance of all these flowers over here, it is like a smell-orama. So this is their take on a Cuban sandwich. Time to give it a try. It's got some fresh house-made stone ground mustard on there. You got the pork, the ham, the pickles. It's good. You know, the thing that's interesting is the pickles are so fresh. That's what I tasted first, was the pickles. The pickle flavor and that sort of brine kind of cut through everything on the first bite. It's really good. Definitely worth the $6 stop. It's 2 halves, easily shareable. Just like last year, the Florida Fresh booth is hitting it out of the park. The line is there for a reason. Didn't try the lobster, but if you like lobster, it seems to be a hit. And we are almost done with me taking on the festival here today, showing you some of my favorites. Right now I'm going to finish this Cuban, and I'll get back to you in a minute. That was a really, really good Cuban. The Flower and Garden Festival is interesting this year. Like I mentioned before, I think more than any other festival recently, it has a lot of the same things it had before in the exact same places. There's maybe more new drinks than anything else, but there is not very many new foods, which is kind of disappointing. I mean, I still love the festivals no matter what, and I know Flower and Garden goes on a long time, so you might get a turnover in the menus of a few of these, but I think it's going to be the combination of old favorites plus lots of new stuff that's going to bring people out year after year to each of the different festivals. Because there's so many festivals at EPCOT, I think you need good new stuff to draw people. It's like I said before, it's not like rides. People want their classic rides that they have nostalgia for and things like that. That's different. When you're talking about food, bring me back one of my favorites that I can get, and then bring me some new delicious options that I can fall in love with. And I think that's where, so far this year, it was a little bit of a down note for the Flower and Garden, but it's still an awesome festival. I still love the festival. All the EPCOT festivals are a lot of fun, and that's why I tried to take it on, you know, Chase versus Flower and Garden Festival in a little different way. Bring you the things that I really like that are new or worth your time this year. And it's still a lot. Like, that would still be a lot to eat. So you come hungry if you're coming to the flower and garden, and enjoy the topiaries and just have fun with it like we did today. And if you did have fun, please like and subscribe, and it really does help the channel. And until next time, this is Chase with American Vintage Adventures saying have a great AVA day, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.